We're going. What's going on, guys? It's Erica with Not Your Average ABC, and
Hi, I'm Nicole.
and we are going to talk about what happened with Ohio today. I made a video yesterday that I put up that was really hard to make, and I said that I wasn't going to explain what happened, but basically everyone was like, let's, start a GoFundMe or, start some way to do donations. And I feel that if we're going to accept those, which we've decided we are, we have to give you guys context on what happened. Just like with YouTube, people that get paid to do YouTube, like people pay for the content. Like, I'm not going to accept the donations and not, give you guys the context of what happened for the donations. So today we're going to go over what exactly happened with that. I will tell you right now, we're not going to be shit talking. We're not going to shit talk down in the comments. There's going to be no name calling. We're going to do this in a respectful manner and literally just explain the predicament. So anybody that comments anything over the top in the comments, you're just going to be immediately blocked. Like, just try to be helpful with this, okay? It's a shitty situation.
Yeah, and we've never accepted handouts before, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that makes us uncomfortable. And we've also, both been living on our own since we were 17. It's not like we have even family to give us money or anything. Like, this is not something we want to do or ever usually do. We are always just, doing our own thing and supporting ourselves. So, yeah.
So let's start with the fact that this all began when I started the YouTube channel, because essentially what the YouTube channel was for myself. I love doing it. And so many people had kind of told me I should start a YouTube channel. And last year I ended up doing it and I really enjoyed it. And number one, it's just fun for me. But number two, it was supposed to be a portfolio and a showcase of what I'm capable of giving to the community, so that maybe one day a knife company or something or a maker would see my content and be like, I want that honesty, that truth, that raw ability to just be an entertainer. Like, I want that in my company. And that's what I was doing, was creating a showcase of what I'm capable of. And when I started the channel, I had mentioned numerous times in my very first videos that are still up that, one day my dream would be to work at a place like River's Edge Cutlery or something, like a family-owned knife business that I really like. And just for the hell of it, one day I decided to reach out to River's Edge and I said, if you guys, this is a long shot, but if you guys ever want somebody that has, knife designs and creativity and honesty and truth, if you guys ever want somebody like that on your team, I will move out there. And I was being serious, but I thought that they would take it as a joke. But I was like, whatever, worth a shot. And, Mike responded and he's like, hey, that's funny you mentioned that, because in a couple years, I'm going to have a new, shop set up with all new machines, all this stuff. We're going to start making knives in a few years. And, if in a few years you are still interested, I'll reach out to you 100%, especially if you have a design. And I sent him my design and everything. I sent a picture of it and I was like, wow, this might actually be real life in a few years. So it was kind of like an agreement that, maybe in the future this really could happen. So fast forward a couple months, I'm making my content. I'm just doing my own thing, being my inappropriate self, just busting content, working my balls off at the farm to support myself and also the channel. And I get a phone call one day, and it's Mike from River's Edge.
And this is in March.
This is in March, in the beginning of March. And it's Mike, and he sounds a little frantic but excited. And he goes, hey, I got some crazy news. We just lost one of our main guys, Everett. You guys remember Everett? He goes, we just lost one of our main guys. It was kind of like a, spur of the moment thing, and it sucks that he's gone, but I have a position open for you right now. And I was like, what? I mean, last time we talked, it was years from now, maybe possible, not real life yet. And I was like, oh, geez, okay. And he goes on this big, excited, passionate rant about how he has a position open for me if I'm willing to talk about it, he can, you know, fly me out in a couple weeks. We'll talk about it in person, and come June, I can be working at River's Edge. And this is this year, guys. Like, this is March of this year, like a couple months ago. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's a lot. You know, first of all, I have a lease in New Hampshire. This is what I'm telling Mike. I go, I have a lease in New Hampshire. I can't leave. Like, it's a 6-month lease. I can't leave before that. I have 4 dogs. I have a best friend. And Mike didn't really know about Nicole at this point. Like, she had just started coming into the community. And I go, I have 4 dogs. I have a best friend that I can't really leave. Like, she's kind of all, she's my family. She's all I've got. She's got 2 dogs. I mean, I don't know about that right now, Mike. That's a lot. And he goes, no. Don't worry about the dogs. Don't worry about anything. Like, I'll fly both of you guys out. If Nicole can contribute at River's Edge too, hell, I'll take both of you. And it literally felt like a fairy tale. I was like,
it was so weird. We had to plan for like a 2 to 3 day trip in Ohio 2 weeks in advance.
Like that.
Like, we're like, okay, yeah, like, you're gonna fly us out and stuff. Like, we'll totally do that and check it out. Like, that sounds crazy.
And we had to very quickly come up with somebody to take care of our dogs for a couple days. I basically never been on a plane. I went one time and I was terrified when I was like 7. I've never traveled. We had to get the coverage for work like very quickly, because he was like, I need you out here now. And he was like, I'll pay for the flights here and back, the hotel, everything while you're here. Because I was like, we're poor. We work at a farm. We have nothing. Like, if you want to literally do all of this for us, then go ahead. But we can't really contribute anything to this. And he was like, no, I need you out here now. Like, this is going to happen. So end of March comes. We do fly out there. Nicole and I had such a good time. We flew out. Mike literally paid for everything for us. Like,
everyone
dinner,
at River's Edge
breakfast.
was so nice.
Oh my God.
It was
everything.
such a great trip.
He pays for everything for us. All of the meals. He gives us a tour. He shows us around. Brought us on a ride in his Shelby. Like, I mean, he
literally talking about like, what kind of house would be best for us and stuff, and like what positions would be best for us at the place, showing us the new building, talking about all in-depth details about his company and where he's at in life and stuff. Like, really bringing us in as part of the family and like welcoming us in. It was
the first time that we had felt kind of at home, like it felt like we were being accepted. Yeah, and we did interviews out there. He's like, if you're serious about taking a job out here, let's like really start to dial in some specifics. Yeah. So we both did our interviews. They wanted us on the team immediately. We saw the new building, the old building. We met the whole staff. We spent a bunch of time with everyone over there. And during the end of the trip, Mike was very passionate, and I would say pushy about the plans. Yeah. So we had gone out to dinner one night, and we were starting to trust Mike, and we told him kind of about our past. We were both on our own at 17. We don't have families to fall back on. We've been through a lot, and we opened up about that. And he at one point was like, "Man, I feel like you guys are just like 2 like puppy dogs that I want to rescue from New Hampshire and take in and show you the good life out here." And it was emotional in a good way. I felt like, wow, we're finally going to get out of this shithole and be like starting over.
Yeah, because we told them that we don't have like a huge savings to like uproot our lives and drive 12 hours to Ohio and be able to make it all happen with the snap of our fingers.
Right.
We were like, yeah, no, this is like kind of like a dream too big for us. For sure. It feels like that. Like, we don't really know, we're not looking to buy a house. Like, we don't know exactly where we're going. We're still pretty young. Like, we're just figuring it out. But what he was offering sounded so incredible that
he said he was able to do it all.
Yeah.
He said, I can do
He was
anything.
like, I can help you find a house to rent, and if that, doesn't work, then I can even buy a house for you. Like, he said he already discussed it with his wife. Like, he was like, yeah, no, like, one way or another, like, you'll have a place to live out here, and then you'll work for us full time.
And basically the deal was like, we would be huge assets to his company in terms of like personality and being hard workers and stuff, and in exchange he would figure out the housing for us, pay us a livable wage, and like set this all up for us and get us out there, and then we'd be some damn good workers for him, and be a huge asset to his team. And we made it. I mean, we really drove it home. We don't have anything to fall back on here. We have no money to get this going, and we have dogs that we will not be giving away to go out there.
And we told him that if he's pushing us to tell our landlord to be like that we'll be out by June, we said that we have to pay her until September.
Yeah,
like that's what the lease is. We're not going to bail out on our landlord, so the lease is pay her for 6 months once we give her notice. So we were like, we'll pay her till September, but if you can get us out sooner and make some sort of deal, then yeah, that's great. But if you're pushing us to tell her that we're going to be gone at least by September, then we really have to be gone.
And he was like, yep, I'll cover those remaining months, like I'll pay you guys as rent off.
Yeah.
Like he was like, I will do this for you guys, and he kept saying, trust me, I'm gonna make this work for you guys, trust me, I want you guys out here. And at the end of the trip, a lot of pressure is being put on us. So he's asking, so are you gonna do it? Like, are you gonna be out here by June? And we're like, yes, like we love it out here, we will go home, we will literally pack up and we will be out here by June. And he's like, yep, I'll get you a place, like it's gonna be a piece of cake, no worries. Like I will get you guys out here. And then he goes, and you gotta get out here by June, because if you're not, I'll probably have to fill your position.
Yeah, because he was planning on opening the new building in June.
Yes.
And everything was planned, he was planning for everything to be fully set and fully staffed by beginning of June.
Yep. So, on the very last day, lots of pressure, which we were okay with. We were trusting him. And he's like, go home, make sure you tell your landlord that you're going to be out by June. I'll pay off the rest of the rent.
And he's like, you look for a house to rent, and I'll start looking for a house to rent. Obviously, if we're looking, we have to send him the house because we're not there to check it out and anything. So we're kind of just like, okay, we'll both keep looking and see what happens. But we're obviously back in New Hampshire, so we can't do a whole lot besides try to find things online.
Yeah.
So.
And it was very clear that we had to be there by June, otherwise we were going to lose our jobs. So we come home, and I'm not kidding, the next day, Nicole has everything packed up.
Yeah.
Everything's
I'm
in boxes.
Okay, if this is gonna work, then I have to do what I can from here. So I literally packed off our stuff up besides the things that we need to use every day, and I donated and got rid of so much of our stuff so that we can get the smallest size U-Haul to travel 12 hours to Ohio.
Yep.
It was just on it.
Yeah,
we told our landlord right away.
Yep.
And so our landlord started making immediate plans to help pay for the house without us, contributing to rent. And, she made solid plans. So she is set by September for us to be out of here. So.
Yeah, so our landlord is also our friend, and she has a job where they rescue dogs and train them for veterans with PTSD. And basically, she had to very quickly come up with a game plan to keep the house, and she ended up getting a grant from her work to turn the house into a second facility for the dogs. Yeah. So there was no way that we could go back on that, because she literally snapped her fingers, got that grant, and the board at her job knew that we were going to be leaving and this was going to be a second facility, so they started gearing up to get more dogs and stuff. So there's no way we can go back on that, right? So we get back from Ohio, everything's packed up, and then this is where red flags start to pop up.
Yeah.
Radio silence from River's Edge. I'm talking nothing. No communication, nothing. Now we've got, Blade Show that started coming up, new building and stuff like that. So I kept trying to justify in my head why there was
he's
no
super busy.
communication.
He's just super busy. Or maybe he's just busy looking for houses, or busy with the Blade Show and running a business and stuff. We understand that takes a lot of time. We didn't want to put pressure on him to keep focusing on us. So we were just kind of okay, let's let him do his thing and just kind of see where it goes and see what he says when he reaches out again.
So we were we're working a bunch. I was supposed to get money from my parents, and at the last minute, on that day, it actually never existed. So I ended up having to sell a huge chunk of my knife collection in exchange for that. We're busting our balls, right? Mm-hmm. April passes, nothing. Now I start texting Mike, what, any updates? What's going on? How's it going out there? No answer. Every, once a week, Mike, did you find a house yet? Is there anything? Nothing. Blade Show comes and goes, no communication, nothing. And then finally, after Blade Show, he reaches out through a text, and he's like, hey, sorry, I've been so slammed. I haven't even started looking at houses yet, but don't worry, everything will be fine. And like, I start getting worried because now we're like closer to needing to leave, and he hasn't even started looking.
And yeah, it's like June. It's like, wait, what?
So he's like, yeah, no, like I haven't really started looking yet, but you know, you guys keep looking, blah, 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 but I'll, you know, keep my eyes peeled, and don't worry, everything will work out.
And meanwhile, he told us the cost of living was cheaper out there, but he didn't tell us what we'd be making.
Right.
Like, we kind of just assumed, like, because he knew our predicament, he would, and he said that he would find us a house, that he would, like, find us a house that he knows that he can help, like, pay us enough while we're working for him to pay for the house.
Yeah, he told us
kind
that
of
he'd give us a wage that would accommodate, like...
For the natural living out there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, so we're looking for houses and stuff, and houses and rent, and we were like, what is our budget?
Like we don't know anything.
What price ranges should we be looking for? So I'm sending him like houses left and right, like of all kinds of budgets, like cheap, shitty trailer houses to like $300,000 worth houses, and it's like, I don't know which one in between is the right one.
So I give him a little bit more time. Again, no communication. So eventually I text him. I'm like, Mike, we got to talk on the phone. Like, we got to talk at this point. So, you know, eventually I finally get him on the phone. I'm like, so what's the game plan? And he's like, yeah, I don't really know what to do. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you know, I kind of already know the answer to this, but would you be willing to give, you know, a couple dogs up? And I'm like, whoa, no, what do you mean? Why do we have to give them up? There's no way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, they're our family.
And he's like, well, you know, it's really hard to find a place out here, and like I totally get it, dogs are family, like sorry I even asked, but you know, it's just hard to find something out here with all those dogs, and you know, you guys' budget, blah blah blah, like what should we do? And I'm like, don't ask me, this was your plan. We told you we'd go along for the ride because we're dumb kids from New Hampshire with no money, and you're the one that said that you would literally take care of all of this because you could just do that type of thing. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, like, I'll figure it out. We'll get it all figured out. I'll get you guys out here. It might not be by June. It's probably not going to be by June, but maybe August or something. Like, I'll have you guys out here. So now I'm getting, like, definitely a little worried, right? Like, you know, time is ticking and we still don't have a plan at all. So he goes, you know, keep looking for houses, send me links, blah, blah, blah. I get off the phone, tell Nicole, you know, she looks at a couple houses, she sends those links to Mike. Mike responds like a week later or something.
It was like 3 days later.
It was like 3 days later, and he's like, yeah, none of those are going to work. They're all taken, they're all too expensive, they're under contract, whatever.
Yeah. And we were like, are we looking for rent or to buy at this point? Like,
because like obviously at this point we're not going to find anything to rent with this many dogs. He would have to buy a house, like he said.
And like we know the house market is shit, like it is here too in New Hampshire. Like, you know, it's been like that for most of this year. It's like, it's not like it's gotten like worse. It's been pretty bad the entire year. Like that's why this whole thing is like just ridiculous.
So then, you know, we're getting nervous and we're really running out of time. And then, you know, so we send him the links. He says, you know, none of those are going to work. I'll keep my eyes peeled. And then again, silence. Nothing. There's nothing.
He never once sent us like a house that he found, or he never even gave us proof that he was looking. Like, he might have been, but like we never heard like, hey, I found something and I'm going to go look at it today. It was never like, you know, it was just like nothing. So I don't even know what effort he put in. He like never kept us in the loop.
Yeah.
And we're not shitting on him. It's literally just like, this is what's happened.
It is what it is. So then, you know, the Microtech thing happens. I'm gonna just touch on that real quick because it ties into later on in the story. Basically, you know, he made a decision to pull Axial and whatever, and you know, they made the Microtech decision. And on Instagram, I was like, why would you do that? Because he said, you know, do your research before you talk. But we did the research and nobody could figure out why anybody was complying with Microtech. And you know, at least for me, no matter who you are, if I feel that I have a different opinion, I'm going to try to voice that. Like, whether you're up here or down here, like, why can't we just talk about things, right? So on Instagram, I was like, Mike, we did the research, and we can't figure out why you did this. And I'm never going to bow down to somebody because I'm afraid of them. No matter what your authority is. Like, if I want to have a conversation with you about something, whether it's public or private, why can't we just do that, right?
Yeah, open doors.
Yes.
Especially because, like, communication is key. And if we're going to be working for them, too, it's like we should be able to talk about things.
And I didn't want people to think either that, like, because I was moving over to River's Edge, that, like, the honesty and the openness from my channel and my page and myself was going to be compromised. So I really didn't see the issue with just, like, asking on Instagram, why did you make that decision? So fast forward after Microtech, still no communication, nothing. And then Nicole gets a text from Mike one day, and this was like, 2 weeks ago? Around 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm at work, and Nicole gets a text from Mike, and in essence it says, hey, I can't find anything right now. I'm going to continue to try looking, but with you guys' budget and the amount of dogs you have, I'm not sure if we can really pull this off.
Oh, and he did finally tell us, like, what salary we'd be making if we did work for him, which was ended up actually being lower than what we make here.
Yeah, so that's a huge issue, because we were going to go
and
out
I know
there.
The cost of living might be cheaper out there, but at the same time, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
so he had decided on a wage, and it was actually lower than what we make here, which is that's not going to work. So anyway, so Nicole gets a text, and he's saying, basically, we might be shit out of luck. Like, I tried, I can't find anything for rent. There are too many dogs. And then he goes, you can stay in New Hampshire if you want. Like, just stay in New Hampshire if you want.
Yeah, he's like, whatever you guys want to do, let me know. Just like wishy-washy and just like, and it was weird that he texted me too, because it was like the finality of plans has always been through Erica. So I was kind of just like, I didn't know what to do with that text. I immediately showed Erica. I was like, how do we even interpret this? Like, where do we go from here?
So now I'm scared. At this point, I'm scared. Like, my heart is racing. I'm at work, and I'm like, holy fuck, like, we've been duped. Because we can't stay here. We have nowhere to go.
Yeah, we had told our landlord what had happened, and she was kind of like, yeah, that's really shitty, but you still have to be out by September.
Yeah, like 100%.
Nothing I can do for you.
And there's no houses available here for rent or anything, or, like, there's nothing.
Yeah. There's
no Airbnbs, there's literally nothing. So I'm fretting, and I send Mike some messages, and I'm like, Mike, heads up, you can't do this to people. The deal was to trust you, and you were going to find something, and now you're saying that the market is too shitty and you can't find anything, and we can stay in New Hampshire if we want. That doesn't work. Like, that's not an option. So, like, what are we going to do? And, 45 minutes passes, and then he ends up calling me. And he goes, yeah, I'm so sorry. A lot of stuff happened with the building that I didn't expect, which I completely understand. And he goes, the dogs are an issue and the money is an issue, so what are we going to do? And it's, again, that question, what are we going to do? I'm like, Mike, stop asking me that, because I don't know. This was your plan, and you know that we're along for the ride and trusting you. What are you going to do? And he goes, well, I'm not sure. There's no options. There's no options, and I don't have the money now to buy a house, and there's nothing for rent. And he goes, I'm not completely giving up, but it's not looking too good. So now at this point, I'm getting emotional and I'm hurt. And I go, Mike, this hurts. We trusted you. You said that you could pull this off no matter what. You knew about the dogs from the get-go. You knew that we had no money to contribute from the get-go. What are you doing? And I go, and he's like, well, maybe something will pop up. Like, I'm going to keep trying, but it's not looking too good, and you can stay in New Hampshire if you want, and but we can try to make Ohio work. I'm just not totally sure. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? Too many red flags, and I made the mistake of saying, well, now the trust is kind of compromised on my end, and now I'm a little scared of coming to Ohio, and I'm not sure if that's a good idea, whether you find a house or not, because the trust at this point on my end, I'm a little spooked. And that's where Mike was not happy. And he goes, Erica, don't you talk to me about trust. when you brought up this stupid fucking Microtech thing and you questioned my authority, I never once talked to you about trust, even though, you broke my trust during that instance. And I'm like, whoa. Why didn't you talk to me about it? If you didn't like my comment about Microtech, why didn't you reach out? And he's like, because I don't hold grudges. And, I was just going to look past it. But you broke my trust during that, and that was so stupid. And, you questioned me, and you didn't even reach out to me to ask about it. And I was like, I had been texting you nonstop, and you didn't answer. So I talked to Evan on the phone, who told me what happened with Microtech. And I still didn't agree with you guys' decision. And it is what it is. Sometimes people don't agree. And I was like, you're double my age. I am in my 20s and still learning. The fact that you were that pissed at me over Microtech and you never reached out, now that's making me even more nervous to come out, because you had an issue with me like a month ago over Microtech and you never once said anything. I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't like things that I say and then lets them like boil inside and won't communicate with me like that.
And also, he's seen your YouTube channel. He knows that you're opinionated and honest and outspoken. Like,
so he goes.
You either want that on your team or you don't.
Right. So he's like, I'm sorry. I got a little defensive there, and maybe that hurt me a little bit too. And I got a little defensive, and I'm sorry. And I was like, Mike, this is too much. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. You bit off more than you can chew, and I understand that you're, there's a lot going on. The building was supposed to open in June. Now it's going to be August. You spent more, the money. You're trying your best as a business owner. I have nothing against that. Mm-hmm. And Ohio clearly just isn't going to work. But let's just see what we can do from here. Like, no grudges. I know that if you could make this all work, you would.
Yeah, I know he tried. Like,
he's a good guy.
He is. He's a good guy, good family, good crew out there. Yeah. Like, when we visited, we loved it. So it's like, I don't think that anything happened like out of malicious intent.
Yeah. Everyone's on edge because the world is scary right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, forget about Ohio right now. We're gonna stay in New Hampshire. That's probably the best bet. But the only problem is we have nowhere to go in New Hampshire. So what are we gonna do? And he's like, I'm not sure. Like, if you guys find a place, I can try to financially help you out. Just keep me in the loop. And that was kind of it. That's how it ended. Because we're fucked. And he said that he'll try to help us out, and he wants us to have a home. And yeah, that was basically it. And now we're here. And the essence of this whole thing is like, we are staying in New Hampshire and we have no house because of that whole situation.
And we don't have 6 months anymore to plan for a house. Now we have 2 because we were banking on that with false promises for so long. So, which is like, I guess, our mistake too. Like, sometimes maybe we're too trusting. Yeah. I don't know. But like, we just...
And I know, like we said, if he could have pulled it off, he would have. It's just... It didn't work this time. Yeah. It didn't work. So now we're fucked. And that's why we're going to accept the donations, and we're trying to work with a lot of people to figure something out, because we're completely screwed. And the reason we're making a video about it is because obviously this has to do with the knife community. We were supposed to go out to River's Edge. Now we can't. So we're reaching out for help from you guys because we don't know where else to go.
And obviously, if you can't help, if it would put you out, don't. Like, right. I don't care if you only raise $10. Like, that's, it's not even about the money, but also just like clarity to what happened. And because, it all revolves around the EDC community. Like, we were trying to find jobs revolving around it.
Right, and this involves people in the community. If we were in a sticky situation right now because of our own personal issues, we would not be, making this. Like, there are billions of people in our situation with housing right now.
Yeah, there are people worse off than us. Yeah. So it's, the whole, sending money thing, that is just like, I know because so many people had offered out of the kindness of their hearts, and, literally God bless you all. Yeah. But at the same time, like, don't feel obligated. It's just like trying to figure things out without not having a place to live.
And we just didn't expect any of this. Like I did a couple knife sales. I have that money in my bank account from the knife sale. When I get new knives, it's because I sold something to get that, to keep the channel and the content going, because I'm still trying to get a job in that realm, so I need to keep the content fresh. It's not like I'm, blowing my money on knives. Like every time I get a new one, it's because I sold 5 other ones to get that or whatever.
And I don't get new knives. I just have my same ones.
I just give her things. But yeah, so that's what happened. That's why we're reaching out to you guys for help, because this is something that was influenced by the community, and we're just looking for pointers. But we wanted to give you guys the context of what happened, so that you don't think that we're like asking for a free handout, because we're not. No. This was a really unfortunate situation, and now our livelihood is at stake. There are living beings, like multiple living beings, me, Nicole, and 6 dogs, that now have nowhere to go. We're fucked.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking that we can figure something out. Like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We have a couple months to try and solve this issue.
Yeah. So if you guys have anything, let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, but we're not giving up our dogs. Like, they're our life. We're gonna just try to find something where we can take them with us.
And no, they can't go somewhere temporary, because
we have nowhere to bring them.
Yeah, and there's no boarding. There's no. They all have separation anxiety or issues with people or dogs or whatever. Like then
they're kind of wild and just like none of that will work. They're
well behaved in the house. Like, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to separating from their moms, it's just,
and then their routine. Like we wouldn't throw them off like that.
Yeah. So that's where we're at, guys. Hopefully.
Also, don't hate on River's Edge. Like that's not the point of this either. Like they're still a business that they're trying to put out a lot of good in the community too. Like. I don't want people to like protest against them. It just happened to fall like out like this, and it's just it's too bad. The whole thing is kind of too bad, but it's not like they're bad guys out there.
Mike did so much for us when we were in Ohio. It's not like I would ever forget that, and it's unfortunate where we're at now. I think it's a lesson that we just all have to be more realistic these days.
Yeah, no more false promises.
What we were capable of doing 5 years ago, we're not capable of doing now. Like nobody is. It is.
Yeah, the economy's rough right now. Money is tight with everyone. So
yeah. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Hopefully this provides some clarity as to like why this is all happening. Go use your shit. We'll see you on the next video. Love you all.